My name's Omar Castillo. I'm 31. Been working as a mechanical engineer for Blue Ridge Systems in Charlotte for going on 6 years now. I live in a modest but sun-drenched townhouse on West Kingston Avenue, brick exterior, creaky front steps, cats in the windows. It's the kind of place that feels like it listens when you talk to yourself. I liked it that way, quiet, consistent, until Elena Blair moved in next door. We were friendly in that distant neighbor kind of way. She and her boyfriend, Marcus, moved in around the holidays 2 years back. She brought over cookies once. Peppermint snickerdoodles in a tin with a sticky note that said, "Happy to be your neighbor," in that bubbly handwriting that always felt a little too rehearsed. I thanked her, of course. Told her I liked how she decorated her porch. She smiled, tilted her head, said, "Gotta keep the HA on their toes." At the time, I thought she was just funny. Now I know better. It was a Saturday morning when it happened. I was drinking my coffee in the kitchen, sunlight crawling up the tile backsplash, the radio murmuring something about a heat wave. My 2 cats, Miles and Bongo, were already sunbathing like the rent was paid in full. I flipped open my phone to check the neighborhood group chat. It's called South End Connect. A mix of lost dog reports, garbage pickup reminders, and passive-aggressive debates about recycling bins. That morning, one post caught my eye. It had my name in it. Elena B., FYI, Omar's landlord is apparently anti-pets? Had to fight to keep his cats. Just a heads up for any future renters. She had attached a screenshot of a private email between me and my landlord. An old thread where I'd asked, nervously, if there was any flexibility on the no pets clause. I'd explained that I'd already adopted the cats before moving in, that I'd pay a deposit, sign anything. The landlord had said no. Then 2 days later, he changed his mind after I offered double the pet deposit and agreed to quarterly inspections. I thought the matter was over, but now here it was, broadcast to the whole complex like it was neighborhood trivia. The comments rolled in like flies on fruit. Didn't know we had a pet narc in the building, face with tears of joy. Omar's cats better be emotional support for the drama he just stirred. Pet drama? South End always delivers. I felt my chest go tight, like someone had reached inside my ribs and just poked around. I hadn't told anyone about that email. Not Marcus. Not even Elena. So how did she get it? Then I remembered. 2 months ago, Elena had stopped me in the hallway, asking about leasing paperwork because their rent was going up. I'd mentioned, offhand, that I had to negotiate a few things when I first moved in. She'd laughed and said, "You're so diplomatic about that stuff. I just blow the whistle on the whole building." I didn't know that was a warning. I didn't respond to the group chat. I just closed the app, slowly, like putting a lid back on something toxic. An hour later, I ran into her outside. I was checking the mail. She was coming back from what I assume was Pilates, phone in one hand, iced coffee in the other, wearing those oversized sunglasses that make people look like they're hiding from something. I stood there, heart ticking like a dropped watch. "Elena," I said. She looked up, too casually. "Morning, neighbor," she said, like nothing had happened. "Did you post about my landlord?" She sipped her coffee. "Oh, yeah. Just trying to help people stay informed. You know, transparency and all that. You shared my private email." She shrugged. "Didn't think it was that private if you were telling me about it. I told you in passing. That wasn't for the whole complex to see." She tilted her head again, this time less friendly. "If you've got nothing to hide, what's the big deal?" It wasn't what she said. It was how she said it. Like privacy was optional. Like boundaries were quaint. I didn't consent to you using my name or my situation as a talking point, I said, voice tighter than I wanted it to be. She laughed. "Omar, relax. It's not that deep. Everyone overshares around here." I didn't answer. I couldn't. Something settled in my chest then. Not rage. Not yet. Just the knowledge that something had shifted between us, and it wasn't going back. When I got back inside, I sat on the couch and just stared out the window for a long time. I'd always felt safe here. Now I wasn't sure if my home was mine anymore. And somewhere across the paper-thin wall, I heard Elena laugh at something on her phone. I had no idea yet what I was going to do. I just knew I wasn't letting it slide. Not this time. The thing about trust is, it doesn't explode when it breaks. It fractures in silence. Like a windshield spidering from one tiny, hairline crack. Sunday morning, I woke up before the sun. Couldn't sleep. My body was tired, but my mind was wide awake, rerunning that group post, replaying Elena's smirk, reliving the sound of her shrugging off my privacy like it was an inconvenience. I sat on the floor next to the couch, laptop open, digging through the HOA bylaws, lease clauses, group chat archives, anything that might give me a foothold. I wasn't looking to make drama. I just needed to understand what I was up against. Elena wasn't careless. She was calculated. In the chat history, I found 6 other posts she'd made over the past few months that I hadn't really noticed before. Comments about neighbors violating lease rules, complaints about someone's unapproved wall color, even a photo of a resident's doormat with the caption, "This one's not HOA approved, but maybe that's just me being type A winking face." It wasn't just me. She was policing everyone, one smiling emoji at a time. That afternoon, I went to grab a late lunch at a small Mexican place 2 blocks down, Ramona's Taqueria, where the tacos are cheap and the staff remembers your order by the 3rd visit. I was halfway through my carnitas when I saw Marcus, Elena's boyfriend, walk past the window. Alone. Face drawn, hands jammed in his hoodie pockets. He didn't come in. Just walked past slowly, then doubled back like he forgot something. I watched him pull out his phone, type something, then pause and delete it. Whatever it was, he didn't send it. Something was off there too. When I got home, I checked the group chat again. Elena had posted a photo of her garden lights, captioned, "Finally installed. Let there be light, thanks for the help, Marcus." Sort of. The comments underneath were just heart emojis and compliments. But I saw the crack. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. That evening, I opened the blinds and looked out toward their unit. Elena was in her kitchen. Same crisp posture, same glowing ring light behind her, phone propped up as she recorded something. Instagram story, prop. Her voice filtered faintly through the wall, sweet, performative, controlled. A beat later, I heard Marcus's voice. He wasn't yelling. Just low. Tired. Worn out in a way that sounded familiar. That's when I realized something. Elena didn't just break my trust. She built her whole persona on breaking little pieces off other people and calling it community engagement. I'd seen people like her before. In school. At work. In HOA boards. They don't punch you. They cut paper thin. Then they hand you a Band-Aid like they're being generous. The worst part? Everyone claps for them. But not this time. I opened my notes app and typed 3 words. HOA. Lease. Marcus. Not a plan. Not yet. But a thread. And I was going to pull it. The next few days, I didn't speak to Elena. Not out of avoidance, out of observation. I stopped reacting and started watching. She liked to water her balcony plants right around 6:45 p.m., wine glass in one hand, hose in the other, like she was filming a lifestyle reel no one had asked for. She wore matching lounge sets, always in beige or pale pink, like neutrality was part of the costume. And she talked, loudly, on speakerphone to someone named Allie, almost always with a new story about someone in the complex doing something questionable. If Elena was a storm, Marcus was the pressure drop before it. I caught him out front Tuesday morning, fumbling with the trash bins. His hair was messy, no shirt, just a worn-out pair of sweatpants and a hoodie draped across one arm like he didn't care who saw. "Morning," I said, keeping it casual. He looked startled. "Oh, hey." His eyes dropped immediately, avoidance, not disinterest. That told me everything. "I saw the post about your garden lights," I said carefully. "Look good." He half laughed, but there was no joy in it. "She posted that before I even finished the install," he muttered. "Didn't even work. I had to redo the wiring." "Could have helped if you ever need backup," I offered. He looked at me, surprised. "You do electrical?" "Mechanical engineering. But I can run lines." That cracked something open. Not much, but enough. We talked for a few minutes. Nothing major. But he asked me, before heading back inside, "Hey, what did she mean about your cats in that post? Was that real?" I hesitated, then nodded. It was real. but it wasn't hers to tell. He blinked. Like no one had ever said that to him before. She does that, he said. Quietly. Almost like he wasn't supposed to say it out loud. I watched him go back inside, and a thought struck me. Marcus isn't just collateral. He's a witness. That night, I started reading the HOA's monthly reports. Turns out Elena had been reporting neighbors anonymously for over a year. Each complaint was tagged under Unit 4B, hers. Trash bins left out too long. Noise from late-night music. Bikes chained to porch rails. She had flagged 12 households for violations. Only one unit had no complaints against it at all, hers. I printed the records. Filed them in a folder marked Housekeeping. Then I found the HOA president's email, Charlene Kinsey, Unit 1A, and wrote a message. Hi Charlene. Just a quick heads up, I believe someone may be sharing private tenant information in the community chat without consent. Happened to me recently. If it's helpful, I've attached screenshots and a copy of our leasing clause on communication boundaries. Happy to chat further if needed. Omar Castillo, Unit 5C. I didn't hit send right away. I wasn't looking to ruin her. Not yet. But I needed her to know I wasn't asleep anymore. And neither was the neighborhood. The email I sent to Charlene didn't get a reply that night. Or the next day. But by Thursday afternoon, I saw her, real estate blazer, short gray bob, clipboard in hand, doing a slow walk past Elena's unit. Pausing. Looking. And then she knocked. I watched through my blinds as Elena opened the door in her usual curated casual, leggings, messy bun, oversized mug that probably said something like "Don't talk before coffee." Charlene spoke first. Firm, polite. Elena tilted her head, nodded too fast, and did this thing with her hands like she was explaining something she absolutely shouldn't need to explain. Whatever was said, it wasn't friendly. The next morning, a new post popped up in the neighborhood chat. Elena B. Hey neighbors. Let's all be mindful of privacy and consent when sharing info in group threads. We all want to feel safe here. No apology. No reference to the original post. Just a performative PSA, written like it wasn't her who cracked the dam in the first place. But that was fine. Because the real cracks were showing somewhere else. Marcus knocked on my door Saturday evening. He looked tired. A quiet kind of tired that doesn't come from work. He stood there with a six-pack of Modelo and a question written all over his face. You got a minute? Yeah, I said. Come in. We sat on the balcony. Cats curled up at my feet, breeze warm enough to feel like June already. Marcus took a sip of his beer, then stared out over the parking lot. She's been different lately, he said finally. Like, watching everything I say. Correcting me in front of people. Last week she told her sister I was emotionally unreliable because I forgot to RSVP to a dinner. I didn't say anything. Just let the silence do the work. Anyway, he hesitated. Did she ever ask you about our lease terms? I turned to look at him. Yeah. When you guys first moved in. She said you were trying to negotiate rent. His jaw tensed. She told our landlord we were being harassed. Said someone in the building was making her uncomfortable. That's how we got our rent reduced. I blinked. Wait, what? She never told me who it was, Marcus said, voice tightening. But now I'm wondering. The dots connected fast, and they burned. Elena had used me. My email. My cats. My lease terms. As leverage to spin a different story to the landlord, one that made her seem like the victim, and me the aggressor. She'd sold a false version of our entire interaction just to angle for a better deal. And suddenly I knew exactly where to go next. Hey, I said, standing. Do you have a copy of your lease agreement? Marcus blinked. Yeah. Why? I smiled, but there was no humor in it. I think it's time we both read the fine print. Marcus texted me the lease that night. A scanned PDF with two key highlights. 1. Tenants were required to report any changes to occupancy or subletting agreements, standard stuff. 2. Tenants could not post other tenants' identifying information in public community forums. Ever. Not even under casual discussion. There was. Black and white. The rule she broke. I didn't move on it immediately. I let it sit. Let it breathe. Let her believe the storm had passed. Instead, I turned my attention to someone else, the landlord. His name was Martin Dwyer, and he owned 3 of the 5 units in our row, including mine and Elena's. I knew him only by email, cordial, old school, preferred attachments in Word format, not PDF. But he was also the one who'd once told me my cats were a possible liability. That kind of guy. So I wrote him a message. Professional. Precise. Hi Martin. Hope you're well. Quick question about Lease Clause 4.1b regarding tenant privacy. I believe one of my private communications may have been shared in a community group without consent. If you'd like context or documentation, I'm happy to provide it. Omar Castillo. Unit 5C. I didn't accuse. I didn't name her. I didn't have to. By Monday morning, I got a reply. Thanks, Omar. That clause exists for a reason. Please forward whatever documentation you have. I'll review with legal if necessary. Martin. I attached the screenshots. The post. The comment thread. I left out the emojis, but not the tone. I didn't hear back right away, but I didn't need to. Because something else was already happening. Wednesday night, the porch lights on Elena's unit flickered. I was outside, walking my cats on their little leashes. Yes, it's ridiculous, but they love it. When Marcus stepped out. Elena's been on edge all day, he said. She got a notice from Martin. Lease review. Really? I asked, pretending to be surprised. He nodded. She's freaking out. Says someone's trying to sabotage her. I didn't reply. Just looked at the house. From the window, I could see her pacing. Talking fast into her phone. Jaw tight, one hand slicing the air like punctuation. And in that moment, I didn't feel joy. I felt control. The kind of quiet, measured power you only get when someone who underestimated you finally realizes their mistake. I wasn't done. Not yet. There's something oddly satisfying about a folding chair under fluorescent lights. It's the sound of things becoming official. Impersonal. Undeniable. The monthly HOA meeting was held in the community rec room. A beige, windowless space with one too many air fresheners and a snack table no one ever touched. I hadn't been in 6 months. But this time, I showed up early. Just to watch. Charlene, the HOA president, nodded at me politely. Marcus arrived a few minutes later, looking vaguely apologetic, and sat 1 row behind me. Elena, predictably, breezed in 5 minutes late, talking loudly on the phone about budget overruns and emergency compliance calls, like she was an executive, not someone who once called HOA meetings low-level neighbor therapy. But what caught my eye was the envelope she handed Charlene as she passed. Thick, labeled, defensive. Charlene opened the meeting with the usual updates, landscaping schedule, trash pickup, a reminder not to feed the feral cats near the dumpster. Then her tone shifted. We've had a few concerns recently around tenant privacy in the community group chat, she said, scanning the room. As a reminder, Lease Clause 4.1b prohibits the sharing of personal communications or lease-related documents involving other residents. I'm sure it wasn't malicious, but even well-meaning posts can cross a line. Elena shifted in her seat. Charlene continued, still pleasant. We'll be reissuing a digital etiquette guide next week, and we expect full compliance. If you're not sure whether something's appropriate to share, best practices, don't. No names. No finger-pointing. But everyone knew. I could feel Elena's eyes on me from across the room. Like she was trying to gauge whether I'd spoken to Charlene directly. Whether I'd told Martin. Whether I was the reason her perfectly groomed narrative had sprung a leak. I didn't look at her. Not yet. But Marcus did. He leaned slightly forward in his seat and whispered, "She's burning inside." I didn't smile. I just nodded, slow and deliberate. Because I wasn't here for gloating. I was here for exposure. After the meeting, Elena cornered me in the hallway. All lipstick and fury. "Did you talk to Martin?" she snapped, voice low but sharp. "I did," I said. Even. Like I was answering a question about the weather. Her lips parted like she wasn't expecting honesty. "And Charlene," she hissed. I shrugged. "People talk. Are you trying to make me look bad?" I met her gaze, steady and unflinching. You did that all by yourself. She stared at me for a long second, eyes scanning my face for something, weakness, guilt, maybe a crack in the armor. She didn't find any. I walked away without another word. And for the first time since this whole thing started, it felt like the silence belonged to me. 2 Saturdays later, the complex held a neighborhood barbecue. It was Marcus's idea, which told me everything I needed to know about where his loyalty had landed. He knocked on my door earlier that week with a flyer in hand, white paper, black text, nothing fancy. But the headline caught my eye. Community reset, let's start fresh. He didn't say much. Just handed it to me and said, I'd like it if you came. So I did. The courtyard behind our units had been cleaned up surprisingly well. String lights. Fold-out tables with mismatched bowls of chips. Even a speaker softly playing Fleetwood Mac. It felt like someone tried, for once. I brought homemade salsa and a 12-pack of Jarritos. Nothing flashy. Just enough. Elena arrived late, wearing a white sundress and those oversized sunglasses again, like she thought the dress code was forgiving influencer. She floated in like she still owned the narrative, smiling, waving, air-kissing people who weren't even looking. But something had changed. People were polite. Not warm. They didn't ask her how her garden was doing. They didn't compliment her table settings or ask about Marcus. They asked how work was, once. She said, chaotic. No one followed up. Then Marcus stood up. Hey, everyone, he called out, raising a plastic cup. Thanks for coming. Really. I know things have felt kind of tense lately. But this community means a lot to me. And I think we all deserve to feel safe. And respected. So, let's start from there. He looked straight at me when he said it. Then he added, also, huge thanks to Omar for helping me fix our breaker panel last weekend. Guy saved me hundreds of dollars. People clapped. Small, casual. But the kind of clapping that sticks. Elena didn't clap. She was standing off to the side, jaw clenched so tight I could see the muscle in her cheek twitch. Her drink was untouched. Her phone stayed in her hand the whole time, like she was waiting for a better conversation to show up in her notifications. Tessa, her closest friend in the building, avoided her eyes the entire night. And that's when it hit me, she wasn't just losing me. She was losing control. Not from some explosive takedown. Not from a dramatic reveal. Just from the quiet, consistent drip of truth. Elena wasn't the center anymore. She was the warning. And she knew it. It started with a notice taped to her door. White paper. Legal font. The kind of envelope that makes your stomach drop before you even open it. I saw it as I was coming back from a hardware run. New drawer sliders and a can of weatherproofing spray. The kind of stuff you do when your life is simple again. Elena didn't see me. She stepped out in her robe, hair in a rushed ponytail, peeled the notice off the door, and stood there staring at it like it couldn't possibly apply to her. But it did. Marcus told me later, after he'd moved out, that Martin had terminated her lease. Early and with cause. She violated a tenant privacy clause. Breached community conduct. And, here's the kicker, her claim about feeling harassed by neighbors had backfired when Martin pulled up message logs and saw she'd fabricated parts of it. Apparently, he'd kept the chat thread she used to justify their rent break. That fabricated part? It was me. She framed our hallway conversation months ago as hostile, said I'd made comments that made her feel unsafe. Martin had flagged it but never investigated, until now. Once the dots connected, she wasn't just in violation of the lease. She was a liability. Martin gave her 30 days to vacate. She tried to fight it. Claimed discrimination. Emotional distress. Even sent an email to the HOA accusing certain residents of colluding against her. Charlene forwarded that email to me. Her reply was just one sentence. Some people set their own traps. CK. In the end, Elena moved out quietly. No goodbye. No farewell cupcakes. No final Instagram post with a tearful caption about closed chapters. Just a Tuesday morning U-Haul, a stressed-out moving crew, and a pair of broken garden lights left behind on the balcony. Marcus stayed in the building. He signed a new lease under his own name. He didn't say much when I helped him carry a box upstairs, just nodded and said, I wish I'd noticed sooner. I didn't ask what he meant, because I already knew. And maybe that's the thing people like Elena never understand. Revenge isn't about cruelty. It's about clarity. It's not rage. It's release. She made me small, so I made her irrelevant. She made me doubt my space, so I took hers. And when she walked away from that townhouse for the last time, she didn't just lose a unit. She lost the illusion that no one was paying attention. It's been 3 months since Elena left. The complex feels different now, lighter, quieter, like someone finally opened a window and let all the tension out. New neighbors moved into her unit, a couple with a toddler and a dog that barks too much but somehow makes the courtyard feel more alive than it ever did when she was here. Marcus stops by sometimes. We don't talk much about what happened. We don't have to. There's a shared understanding between people who've walked out of someone else's shadow. As for me, I still live in the same townhouse. Same creaky steps. Same cats in the window. But now, when I open the blinds in the morning, it doesn't feel like I'm being watched. It feels like I'm home. I planted tomatoes in the backyard last weekend. Nothing fancy. Just something that grows slowly, steadily, under its own rhythm. And sometimes, when I pass the spot where Elena used to record her videos, ring light, curated laughter, manufactured calm, I don't feel bitterness. I feel peace. She wanted attention. I wanted my space back. We both got what we deserved. Sometimes, the best revenge is just being left alone.